everybody, it's Ofo Izugu.
And Kelly Green here.
And we're welcoming you to the WYL Take Ownership podcast, where it's all about taking ownership of your mental, your economics, and your community. Today we have special guests, Coco and Breezy, founders of Coco and Breezy Eyewear, and DJs and producers. All of it. Awesome. Well, appreciate you guys joining us today. How you guys feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling great.
Dope. How are you? I had to get that in there. All right, cool. So I just, for folks at home that don't know, they're actually identical twins from Minnesota. So we're going to dig into that a little bit too. But I just wanted to find out, like, do you guys ever argue? Like, is there ever moments where you guys are pulling each other's hair out?
So we never get to the point where we're pulling each other's hair out, but we'll bicker here and there. But we use our ability to get over things easily. Like, we'll argue for 2 seconds, and in the next, 5 minutes, we're over it. But we're like that with our partners and with our friends and with, business hardships. And so we don't let things get to the two of us, we don't let a lot of things, we don't hold on to a lot of, anger or challenges for a long time.
That's dope.
Because of that.
That's good. Especially as entrepreneurs, I feel like you kind of have to get over things pretty quickly because you have work to do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
so
it's
real.
I don't have time to be bickering with you today. And I'm actually curious, especially because a lot of people do say, oh, you working with family, you got to be careful.
Yep.
I'm wondering, how your story is in terms of that. Did you both know you want to always be entrepreneurs? You were together at home, yo, we have to do this on our own. We don't need bosses. And how that journey transitioned and the trials and triumphs to become who you are today.
When we were younger, we always knew we wanted to be entrepreneurs. We didn't know exactly what we wanted to do. The first idea that we had was we wanted to own a hair salon. So our goal was to be
Your hair is dope, guys. So
thank you.
That's
when we were really young. That's when that was middle school and pretty much middle school and maybe 9th grade. We even took cosmetology class and everything.
Really?
That's
And
dope.
then finally at the end of 9th grade, we were like, no, we do not want to own a hair salon. We don't want to move forward with doing hair and nails.
Okay.
It just is not for us. But we knew that we loved style. We loved telling a story. We loved helping people. So we were trying to figure out where is our place within entrepreneurship, within business, and within being leaders to help make change. And that's when we fell in love with eyewear. But we always knew we wanted to go into having a business together because even when we used to work a job, we always worked together. We've had in our whole lives, when we were in, when we were 15, we had one job each, but it was the same job. When we were 16, we both were working 2 jobs. And then when we were 17, we were working 3 jobs each, and they're all at the same companies. And one thing I can say is that, being an entrepreneur, it's all about breaking rules. And all of those jobs didn't hire family members, and we always broke the rules. And they hired the two of us together.
Well, I read that you guys actually, before even that, you guys both got a job underage technically.
Yeah.
So y'all were always breaking,
Yeah.
literally
at
breaking the rules.
14, I think, right?
Yeah, 15.
Yeah, 15.
You're supposed
okay.
So when you were 15, you were able to work, but you could only work a certain amount of hours.
Sure.
Right.
In the beginning, our manager at the time, he didn't know that we weren't supposed to be working a full 25 hours a week. I think we were only supposed to be working 15 hours a week. And he broke our heart because when he told us that, we worked for a good 2 months, working really hard right after school. And then he said, I found out that you ladies aren't supposed to be working this much. And so we cannot wait for our 16th birthday because we were ready to work those hours. We took when it was prom or homecoming, we were those girls that you knew that if you called Coco and Breezy, we were going to pick up your hours. Yeah, we never went to prom. We never went to school dances because we were going to work. Taking those hours. Yeah, we were those girls that when we were younger and we would save up my birthday money, her birthday money for a couple years and get the best toy.
Wow.
We always had this vision of how do we put ourselves together and use each other to grow. But then it's taking little things. We would save up, even our little checks. It was so funny. I think that I remember we got our first check and it was probably $300.
That's a lot of bread.
I thought it was even $150 each. And I was like, Mom, can we cash this and get all the cash? So she let us get it all cash. And we threw it up in the air in our bed. And we thought we were balling. We were like, we did it.
Yo, that's so real.
That's so cool. Now, what influenced you, aside from just collecting your coins back then, to have so many jobs? Was there anything in particular going on in your lives? Or?
Yeah, it was family. Our dad got sick when we were about 15 years old. And so he had we grew up
just barely making it. And our parents did a great job at not showing that if they were struggling or if we had ups and downs. Our parents are the shit, and they did a great job at raising creative, different kids. And so our dad got sick, he had strokes, and the doctors told him that he can never work again. And so, again, I think we have the advantage of having each other, where we were like, you know what, we need to get a job, and we need to help support our family. There was no ands, ifs, or buts. We didn't get stressed out. We knew that this is what we had to take care of. And we've been financially on our own since we were 15 years old. And so that was our motivation to start work, is that if our parents can't do it, they did such a great job at raising us, it's our time to step in now.
That is so incredibly sweet and kind-hearted, and wow.
That's real.
Wow. How are they doing now?
Oh, they're good. Our dad is a double amputee. So he has both his legs amputated. But when I tell you he is the best guy in the world, he's actually the face on our website. He's the face of Coco and Breezy right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dad.
So our dad, he's the face of Coco and Breezy Eyewear.
Our dad taught us to never get emotional or never get upset at things that you can't control. And so a lot of people, he's a great example. A lot of people will look at him because he's a double amputee and they start feeling bad. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. He's like, why? I'm still alive. I'm still living my best life.
Yeah,
my dad,
I'm on the site now. Like his energy is radiant.
He's that guy. He's that guy.
He's a boss.
He's the guy that's in it. He's like, he makes the fact that he has to be in and out of hospitals all the time. He makes it fun. He's flirting with the nurses. He's leaving with digits.
He leaves at least one or two numbers.
He's still like him. Being a double amputee hasn't broken his confidence. He's still living his best life. He's that guy that he's in his electric wheelchair jamming to some bomb like old R&B music in Walmart.
And I'm like, Dad, we're at Walmart. Turn it down.
He's like, nope, I'm happy over here jamming, living his best life. And that inspires me because it's like everyone goes through their own situations, but we can't look at someone and feel bad because if they're happy, that's what life is. Right. And so it's like we still have all of our body parts. We have a roof over our head. We can eat. There's someone out there that's going through it even worse, and we think it's worse, but for them it's not bad. You know what I'm saying? It's all about perception. Exactly.
And even our mom, like for them, they both got divorced. They got divorced when we were in middle school. But the beautiful part, I think what really helped us grow was that even though they weren't together, they still raised us together. Where even though our parents lived about 45 minutes away, but if I was at my mom's house and wanted to go next door to Amanda's house, my mom would say, call your dad first. So they made sure, or if I was at my dad's house and I wanted to go to a football game or the mall, my dad would say, you have to ask your mom too. So it was cool because, you know, you can get mixed up when one parent has one rule and another parent has another rule.
They didn't play that shit.
But they didn't play those games, you know? And then with our mom, she's so funny. She's Puerto Rican, but she says that PR stands for public relations. So sometimes we'll go into eyewear stores to do market research. And I just want to see what brands they carry to see if they should carry our products. So I'm like, Mom, don't tell them we're in the eyewear industry. She's like, lips zipped. I'm not saying anything. And I'm like, do not say anything, okay? Promise. Because I'm doing market research. You're not supposed to say nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? As soon as you walk in, the lady, I'm obviously always wearing like my optical frames or sunglasses. Someone will say, hey, I love your glasses.
You can tell my mom's itching.
She's itching. And they're like, who makes those? Here goes my mom. These are my daughter's frames. Coco and Breezy Eyewear. You should carry their brand. I'm like, Mom, you weren't supposed to do that.
Or even with my dad, when he isn't. One time, he asked us to go to his doctor's appointment. And I'm like, okay.
Like, why do you want
this guy set up a whole meet and greet with the nurses.
Stop it.
Yeah. We would go into the doctor's office.
We took at least like 20 photos. They knew we were coming to take pictures.
Goodness.
He like gave them the heads up. So our parents are #1 fans, and they support us. Even though they couldn't support us financially, they truly supported us emotionally. And I think that's more important than anything.
That's love.
100%. Do you guys feel like, so in talking about how your parents continue to have you checking in with the other parent, right? So it's always that unified front, right? They're still your parents. Do you feel like that has lent into the discipline you guys have? Because, for example, I think growing up, we often hear you got to focus on one thing, right? One thing, put your all in it. I was talking to Kelly a little bit earlier. It's the idea of, growing up, you'd be like, yo, I'm a jack of all trades. But then if you're talking to somebody older, they would finish the sentence for you by saying master of none. And it's like that. So do you feel like the discipline that your parents continued and persisted with attributed to how you guys are now? Or where does that come from, that drive and that ability to keep things on the same pace?
Yeah, you know what? I think our discipline started at a young age. And my mom and dad always told us this story that one time when we were younger and we were at our aunt's house and someone asked us if we wanted candy. And we looked up at our mom and dad and we were like,
do we want
some candy?
Right.
I don't know, but Mom, do I want candy?
Right,
Let me know.
right,
But the cool part is that we were super disciplined, but our parents let us do whatever we wanted to do as long as we got good grades and as long as we didn't disobey them.
Right.
So my mom helped me pierce my nose when I was 15.
Oh, wow.
But I got good grades. I was never getting into trouble, you know?
And they let us express ourselves. And so we had this rule with them where they didn't keep us in a box. So any ideas we had, they really pushed us to go for it. I think that a lot of parents that put their kids in the box and they're so strict, that's when you want to rebel. But since our parents allowed us to be our 1,000% ourselves, we didn't have to rebel. We actually would go to these middle school, crazy high school parties, and we didn't want to drink because in our head, we didn't want to disappoint our parents.
Right.
So we didn't feel like we had to go behind their backs to do anything crazy because they already allowed us to be our true selves.
Right.
And so...
We didn't even start using cuss words until we were like 19.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we just respected them so much because they let us be ourselves. I mean, dye our hair, bright red mohawks in high school. Wear like these thick black gothic boots, blue lipstick, going to church, looking super punk rock. And they always stood up for us.
Like people would be like, "Why are you letting your daughters dress like that to church?"
They look like the devil. And my parents would say they get good grades. They're covering up their body. Don't come for them.
Right.
Like they are expressing themselves and they're being their true selves.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think that kind of drove into us with our work as well. And even we've always been really creative. We've always had a lot of ideas, and we've always been multi-talented like everyone else, you know. And so we did have that rule that we needed to focus on one thing first, and once that was kind of running on its own, then we were able to go into our other trades.
Right.
And and at the end of the day, I think that what's the word that they use for men that do a lot of stuff? It's a word for it.
I look.
Oh my gosh,
I
I
forgot
forgot what my tongue. It'll come to me. But I think that even though with our eyewear company, with us DJing and making music, it's all one thing. We're creating a culture.
Right.
And so I think that with women, when people see women doing multiple things, they're like, how can you handle it? But when you see a man owning multiple businesses, they're a renaissance man.
Or serial entrepreneur.
Or they're a renaissance man.
Yeah.
And it's like, that irritates me because women can do it too.
Right.
And I think that we are a true believer in having a direct direction and not doing too much where you can't give 100% of understanding where you want to go. And so that's why we started our eyewear company. But our music is a part of our eyewear company. It's a part of the culture that we're growing.
Right.
It's like our eyewear is our merch.
Yeah.
It's a company, and then our music is creating that brand equity. It's creating that customer emotions. It's creating all that for people to trust us as a brand because we are a brand. Right.
And I mean, the thing about it is I agree with that wholeheartedly, right? I even talk about, with Who's Your Landlord, a lot of our team, all of our team has things that they do outside of the company, outside of the brand of what that is. Because you need that spirit, that energy of creators all the time that eventually that comes to the table to create one thing that's powerful, but also can go into their own worlds and create other things that are super dope too. But I find that the same way you talk about your parents and not restricting you guys, therefore you weren't these rebellious kids that were out there. I find too the concept of I think about corporate America and the concept of a lot of times they'll say you can't do X, Y, and Z outside of these walls, even when you're not there. And that then you have employees that are upset and are disgruntled and they're like, I'm not fulfilled. But if your team can be fulfilled by doing what they love in multiple places, then they come with more to give. Their light shines brighter, right? So, it's super dope. It's super dope.
I think that's important because Breezy and I, we do talks at corporate companies. And we'll talk to the employees, and then it'll be us and maybe the president or the CEO. And they will ask us, what can we do better with our employees, and that's the number one thing that I talk about is that, say the employee that works in finance and you have someone that works in marketing, that person that works in finance might have a creative background, and they might be bomb at marketing.
Right.
And so I always talk about why not bring everyone together at lunch
And brainstorm.
because sometimes people have egos. So that
they get caught
that
up
person
in their
marketing,
labels.
Right.
the person that is the senior marketing director doesn't want to hear the finance person's ideas.
Right.
But who cares? Everyone needs to shine. Everyone needs to bring their ideas together. Labels are just labels.
Right.
People get so stuck on their titles. Even with us, whenever we have either interns, employees, freelancers, I'm like, if your idea is better than mine, tell me.
Right.
Because just because we're the head of the company doesn't mean that my idea is the best. Like, let's all brainstorm and, make our ideas the best together.
Right. Yeah. So for you guys, like you guys are always, you embody what you talk about. It comes out in your fashion. What are some of the biggest, like, as fashion, like, inspirations for you guys?
Being comfortable. It's so funny. People swear we're so fly. I'll wear the same pants 3 days in a row. I'm busy. I'm a busy girl. And
The only time we get, like, dressed
if we're, like,
we have
doing
the
red
DJ
carpet or
red carpet.
DJ. But I know every day, like, the days that I'm chilling right now. I have some leather pants on. You guys look at me like I'm not chilling. I'm chilling right now. I got some sneakers on.
Kicks match your hair. Like, people at home don't know
glasses,
this.
the nose.
I'll probably wear
They
these
look
pants
fly. They
again
look
tomorrow.
fly.
I'll probably throw on, like, a white t-shirt.
You know what it is? Your energy and personality just comes out with style. I always talk about with clothing, it's not about the brands that you wear. It's not about it being a designer piece. It's about it being, like, it's about how you style it. Because you can be someone that wears a designer piece and not look stylish, and you can be someone that wears a designer piece and you can embrace your style.
Right.
The other day I got whenever we go visit our dad in Houston, he lives right across the street from a Walmart, so you just can't, like, not go.
I love Walmart.
I got this cute sweater from Walmart,
Yeah.
and when I tell you it was so cute, I came back to New York, people are like, is that Acne? Is that opening ceremony? I was like, no, she's Walmart. She's not Acne or opening ceremony. Like,
Yeah. It's how
but
you rock
I made
it.
her look fancy.
It
Yeah.
is.
But I think that, like, even with our eyewear, something that we're trying to, like, let people know is, like, the same way that you want to change your socks every day, the same way that you change your underwear every day, or you switch up your shirts, pants, it's the same way that you should treat eyewear. And we always say that our eyewear is the outfit, and our outfit is the accessory. That's
Our
why
clothing.
our clothing is the accessory. And so I think our eyewear and then all of our accessories that we wear, it makes our outfit look so dope, but really I'm just wearing a t-shirt and some pants.
Right. And talking about your eyewear, like, what inspires those designs too? I'm curious.
Well, I'm the head designer of the company, and I always carry a notebook with me, and I get super inspired by art. I get inspired by buildings and architecture. I get inspired by shadows. I get inspired by everything, you guys. Any type of shape I see, I try to figure out. Even that lamp right there, like that bottom part of the lamp, like that looks like that could be a temple, which is like an arm of a pair of eyewear.
Right.
And you know what else we do? Literally, whenever I'm on, because we also do a lot of, I like to see what people are wearing as well. Like, what shapes and silhouettes are people wearing? So literally, whenever I'm on the train,
We're staring.
I'm always staring at people's glasses, and
Right.
you're gonna make eye contact. And so
Right.
when people are always staring at me, I try to give them the side eye. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just let them know I like their glasses, so I can get 5 seconds of staring and not just 1 second.
Right.
So I'm like, I like your glasses,
Yeah.
and I'm still
keep
staring a
looking,
little bit.
yeah.
And I'm like, can I see the side? Can you take them off? Can I just see the way these are made
yeah.
real quick?
There's so many times
do
where
it all the
I end
time.
up having people take their glasses off, and I just want to examine them.
That's ill. No, because
so
do you guys look at cars a lot too? Because, like, for example, if I take a quick look at you guys right now, like, Coco, you look like you're wearing, like, Chevy, like, it's almost like a classic Chevy, the way it's shaped.
I like
And
that.
if I look at yours, it's like, and this is not like I fuck with Buick, but, like, it looks like a Buick, like a classic Buick Regal, the way the glasses,
Ooh.
you know what I mean?
You know what? I haven't used that as an inspiration yet, but I appreciate that feedback because I'm gonna look at cars for inspiration now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna add that to my inspo board.
Especially
Thank you.
like classic whips. I feel like they
Yeah,
have this.
so there's so many shapes.
Right, right. And so you guys never had technical design training, right? In terms
No,
of
we didn't go to college.
Yeah, got you. So for you, like, did that create any hardships you felt like in the beginning? And
Of course.
was even for yourself, was there any feeling of, like, we talked, I think, recently about this idea of, like, we're in this business program now, and
Right.
the managing partner sent out an email talking about imposter syndrome, where it's like, as you get higher and higher, you feel like I'm just being myself. I'm just doing this. You don't feel like you're as successful as you are.
You start to doubt your abilities and your success.
Right, right. And so I wonder if at any point that played in your mind, or if you guys were like, nah, this actually frees me to not have any restrictions that college or technical program would have put you in.
Yeah, when we were younger, we were some freaking rock stars. We thought you could. We actually were the opposite. And back in the day, when you're young, you swear that you're like, I'm an old soul. No one could tell me nothing. I thought I knew it all.
Yeah.
And I think that at that time, it was good to have that confidence. But now as I grow older, I'm confident, but I'm not afraid to ask questions.
Right.
And I think that us, at that time, when we moved to New York with nothing, no family, just this idea, we need that confidence. We didn't have the confidence of a degree,
Right.
but we had the confidence of thinking we knew it all. And so it was awesome to have that temporarily.
Yeah.
And then we kind of realized that, you know what our degree is trial and error and confidence, and understanding that if we mess up, it's not the end of the world. We just have to figure out what can we do better next time. And so as we kind of went through that process, that's what kept us flowing and kept our confidence with always learning and being a sponge and asking for feedback and being okay with feedback, and also understanding that you don't have to take everybody's feedback.
Right.
And everyone's feedback, they're not trying to hurt your feelings either.
Yeah. You said our degree is in trial and errors. Out here dropping bars. Okay. Nah, that's real. Like,
You know what? That's a
Yeah.
project name, Coco.
yeah, that's real.
Yeah.
Cause that trajectory, I almost feel like has to be it if you're going to do anything really large in this life, right?
Yep.
Where in the beginning, you are lucky to be young and dumb and just run out on the edge on that, right?
Ran
Because
for it.
if you did listen to people's insight and feedback early, it's as a child, I think your ability to understand what's meant for you and what's not is hard. So I always say taking the meat, spitting out the bones. As you get more comfortable and confident in who you are, then you can receive information that fits what you're doing, and then information that is like, that's just not for us. It's not
Yep.
for me, right? That's not your story, right?
Yep.
So
I have a good thing to say real quick. Something that you don't really learn in school is emotional intelligence.
absolutely.
And I think that that's much more stronger than a lot of these degrees out here. Because you can have a degree, but if you can't handle and have that emotional intelligence, then it's not going to add up. And I think that's one thing that we've grown, and we knew that we had emotional intelligence, and we were well aware of that at such a young age. And that helped us get through the trial and the error, and that helped us get through the hard times, and understanding that all these hard times are just temporary. It's just a part of the process. We always say that it's a pixel in like the picture, or it's just like a little word on the page, and the page becomes a chapter, and then the chapter becomes a book. And then it
book
becomes
a series.
Right.
yeah,
And
so,
then it becomes a movie.
Right.
but that's how we live our
Hopefully
life.
a good one
Right.
too.
Yeah, just understanding that it's a part of the process.
And we also are well aware that not everyone can go the same route that we went in.
Right.
You know, education is really important.
100%.
And for us, we, like Breezy said, once we put down that wall of acting like we knew everything, we started asking so many questions. We would sit down in meetings with other business people, and we learned to have a conversation and say, hey, you know what? I can't answer this right now, but can I get back to you? When we were younger, we used to feel like we had to answer everything.
You did, Coco.
Even if it were, I know. Even if it
I
was
would look at her
wrong.
like, what?
Yeah. Now, if I don't know anything, I'm like, you know what? I don't know this. Can you please just give me a few hours and I'll come back to you? I don't know the answer now, but I'll give it back to you in a follow-up email.
And there's
Right.
nothing
Easy.
wrong with that.
And
yeah.
it's like I don't know what this is. Can you explain this to me? Maybe I can answer the question after you explain what this word means. You know?
yeah.
Or something that I like to do too, even it's kind of off, it's not like with business, but even with friends, when people ask me for advice, I think that when people ask you for advice, you always feel like you have to give them an answer. But something that I do, that I know that if someone asks me advice on if they're going through a situation that I've never went through, and I always tell them I never went through that situation or I never experienced that, so I don't think that I can give you the best advice.
Right.
Because I also don't want to like misguide someone either. And I think that a lot of people, it's almost like an ego thing. You feel, I mean, we all feel good helping people, but we also have to own up to what we truly know.
Right.
And a lot of times you can't. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you got it. Yeah.
Like to speaking to that, like we can't always find ourselves wanting to give people the answer, like not the one that they want to hear, the one you think they should hear. Like when I was doing like empowerment coaching, I guided you to the answer that you kind of already know. Like you're bringing the situation to me because obviously you know there's a problem or an issue, like there's something in your gut saying something's off or you're confused about something. So it's like, okay, let me help you navigate so you can figure this out for yourself. So it puts like less pressure on you to be like, yeah, I know exactly what you should do, and then they do it, and then it's a bad idea, and it's like you screwed my whole life up, you know, like that pressure is like off of you.
That's like true empowerment. What you just described, right? Is when you can arrive to an answer on your own. Even if you in your mind as you were coaching them knew it, they feel like, oh, like like they almost affirmed, right? Like, and so that's really cool stuff.
Yeah, I just realized I still had my sunglasses on.
I thought that was intentional.
I mean, usually it is, but now I'm trying to get to. I used to be afraid to show my eyes, and now I'm like, let me show these pretty eyes.
Yeah, show the beauties. Both of you had your glasses on. I
thought I had my optical frames on. My bad, y'all.
It's okay.
It's good.
It's okay. But like speaking of confidence and like what you both were describing too, emotional intelligence and really like self-awareness, like you guys are really aware of like your abilities and like where it's like, okay, I'm not sure, but I'll find out for you. Like I have the intelligence to do that. I'm wondering like about your story in terms of confidence, like getting into those rooms and those meetings and those companies and being able to like work with all those celebrities you work with. Like you guys, they work with like Nicki Minaj, Lady Gaga,
y'all dancer prince,
the late Prince, made glasses for him, Sierra. The list just goes on, y'all. But like, how was that experience like coming together, you two, and being like, you know what, let's get in front of them?
Honestly, they got in front of us.
Even better, yes.
and I think that again, it's not for everybody, but for our personal story is that we were just at the right place at the right times and just being ourselves. Honestly, most of the celebrities that's worn our product, we're really big on being organic, and so if we want someone to ask for them or ask through a friend, because I feel like if we just give someone something, they may not truly believe in it, they may not truly love it. And so it's important for people to truly love the product because then they'll actually talk about it. And so a lot of our celebrity placements were extremely organic.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really dope.
But yeah, just being yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that is because, like our friend Maya says, being shameless. It was more about us not feeling like. I remember when I would never forget this day. This was probably in maybe like
literally
2000.
shameless Maya.
Yeah, she's our cousin.
She stayed the weekend.
All black people, we always have a cousin and auntie. So she's our cousin.
Yeah, she was just with us for the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
but
dope.
I'll never forget this day, and it's like you can't put on a front, right? So people will ride with you if they like feel like they know who you are. So this was maybe about 2010. I think we were about 20 years old. It was us. We were at dinner with Salida E. Banks. She invited us to dinner, and Kevin Lyles, and I think Trey Songz's mom was there. It's like all these people, all these celebrities and business people were there, and Breezy and I were there. We got invited. And, after the dinner, everybody had their SUVs waiting outside, and they're like, "What are you guys doing? We're about to go hop on the train." I didn't care because guess what? All of them probably did the same thing that we did.
Right.
I wasn't going to use my last $20 to like fit in and call a Uber or a taxi.
But they didn't have Uber back then.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I didn't feel like I was compelled to match what they were doing, because I knew at that time that everyone has, like, all those successful people, they had the story when they were sleeping on their friend's couch.
Right.
They had the story when they were they're eating dollar pizza in New York. So I think that for us, we kept it so real, and we still keep it so real because we want people to, like, the whole point of us building this business and this brand is to get more people like us, more POCs, more people that are diverse, more people that, like, keep it super inclusive to everybody that don't get opportunities to know how to truly go through the journey that we're going through now. And I think that if you don't see that, or if you don't tell that real story, then how can we really help people to take a similar journey? That
speaks to such a deep level of confidence, because like when I hear that story, I love stories like that because, like, for example, we had a meeting at Comcast on the 54th floor. So like the top floor in the building in Philly overlooks the whole city. And like after we had this meeting with like their VP and everything, I remember snapping a story where you see me go from like all this glass, all this land to like I'm hopping on Megabus coming back to New York, right?
Yep.
And so it's a level of authenticity that you feel your story is real, is pure. You know what I mean? And I've had many stories similar where you're in some kind of dope location and your transport isn't you don't get the I don't know what the top Uber is. Uber XL, not Uber XL, like what's the
Uber SUV?
Uber SUV. Okay, yeah, I don't even.
one.
Yeah, so like it's to me it's like I don't know. I'm also like inherently a little cheap too, so I'm not gonna lie. But
frugal, you're frugal.
frugal. I like it. But no, I think that stuff matters so much, and people can see that authenticity, and then want to help even more. So
Yeah.
that's real. Yeah. What's been when did you guys feel like your art had made it, right? So like the sunglasses, and even also too like your DJing. Like, was there a specific event that you guys DJ where you're like, yo, we here a little bit?
Afropunk. We
Afropunk.
just performed at Afropunk, and I was
Oh my
so
God.
nervous. It's so funny because we get nervous before we DJ anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a room where it's only going to be 30 people. It can be a room where it's going to be thousands. And one time, Breezy was hanging out with Beyonce
Let's go.
Just casually,
in Beyonce's cousin's kitchen. This is right after, This is right after that visual album came out.
Okay.
And I remember Beyonce was so nervous about it. And Breezy said that Beyonce said, what'd she say?
She was just saying, like, if you're not nervous, then it's not real.
Right. Right.
And I
And
really
it's
took
not
that.
like scared where you're gonna stop. It's that good nervous, that nervous that works you up, that nervous that builds up your excitement, the nervous that makes you feel like you're gonna just kill it. It's like that good feeling of nervousness.
It's like being uncomfortable. It's a healthy amount of being uncomfortable.
Because you're challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a healthy, where you want to, and as a creator of anything, I think the moment you're no longer getting nervous, you're not getting those butterflies in your stomach, like you need to pick something new.
Yeah, and so Afropunk was a really big step. It was a really big point in our life because we've been attending Afropunk for years. Like we started going to Afropunk maybe in 2010, and that was our New York. That whole crew of people that go to Afropunk, it's people like us,
Right.
And so we got to a point where, because we started off being like internet girls, we've always been on like social media, and I grew a following since we were about 15. So we've always had this whole crew of people that have been following us. But when we first started going to Afropunk, it was nuts. Like, we couldn't walk. When we were younger, like, people would ask us for photos, and we were like, what is this? You want photos with us? But it was cool because it was people like us, and we would stop and take photos with everybody. Now all of our friends know that if we're going to walk around the crowd, they don't want to go to Afropunk with us. Unless we're going to like get VIP backstage. But the cool part is that we've been attending Afropunk for so many years. We've always been the ones in the crowd, like we've been the ones, having to stand in the long line waiting for the bathroom, but people are asking for photos. And then we had a booth at Afropunk that sold our eyewear. I think it was around like 2011 or 2012. In 2011, and that was fun. Like, we sold our glasses. We probably only had like 2 styles, but you couldn't tell us nothing. And going from that to
Being
DJing
on stage and like directing the vibes for thousands and thousands. And we had like thousands of people. We had like thousands and thousands of people swag surfing.
That's wild.
And I got emotional. Every song I dropped, I just got so emotional because we had control of the crowd, and there was not one song that people didn't dance to.
That's dope.
That's dope.
And it was just so crazy.
Cultural,
but I think that
just
even before we got on stage, like, our tent was next to her. Like, our green room tent is right next door to her. So I was like, okay,
look at that.
This is cute. Yeah. Like, I'm like on another side, and it was our
and
first.
also seeing, because we know Miguel is a really long time friend of ours. So the fact that we've known Miguel since like 2010.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're backstage with Miguel and he's like, how was y'all's show? I'm like, it was good.
When you get on.
When you get on.
Right.
I'm like, I can't even have this conversation right now, And then I'm talking to another artist. I'm talking to her afterwards. I go next door and say hi to her, and she's like, I heard you guys killed it. Thank you. I'm like, you're about to go on. I'm gonna go walk out, and see your show, And it's cool because we've been attending for so long. So to be on the other side was so beautiful. Because I remember when I was a person in the crowd watching the artist and knowing how much it meant to me. So then that's why with us being on stage, I had to make sure I projected everything I wanted when I would see people in the audience. And so the most beautiful part that I loved was I played a gospel song, and we played, was it Never Have I Had
Never would I.
Never would have made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Marvin Sapp song, and I was a little nervous to drop it, but I was like, we have the crowd. I want to say a little speech to everybody, let them know that we love them, and I'm just gonna try this out. I'm like, people, it's thousands of people. I've never dropped a gospel song when everybody's swag surfing, but I'm gonna try it. Tried it, and people were going nuts. Because I'm like, this is the one gospel song that when you're younger, you have to go to church, and like, you probably you had to be in choir, but you probably didn't want to be in choir. Right. Everyone knows this song. So I'm like, let me just drop this right now.
And we just, but it meant the world to us because we're not religious, but like the words never would have made it. We truly feel like we never would have made it without everybody that was in that crowd, because that is like they've been our fan base for a long time. But in regards to our eyewear, I think that I would say honestly last year I really truly felt like we finally made a collection that wasn't niche, and we made a collection that fit the mass. And once we started seeing people's moms and grandmas tagging us
and telling their kids
and
that
having
are our age,
kids during Fashion Week saying, "My mom put me onto y'all."
Wow.
I was like, okay, we made it.
Right.
This is awesome. Or going to like a random store, people tagging us in like Alaska or like Michigan and tagging us, like seeing our glasses in optical shops. I was just like, this is everything that we always wanted to do, because we really struggled with only designing for just a super small niche consumer when we first started, and we knew that our brand was bigger than what we were creating, like our product line that we were creating. And once we kind of opened our minds to realize that we want to create for a mass market, and we want to be extremely like inclusive and make sure that our marketing shows our people, because in a lot of these optical shops, it's an issue. You don't see a lot of people like us.
That's true.
At all. And
like
we feel
in the marketing material.
Right, yeah.
And we feel
walls
that
and stuff,
it's our job and our duty to make everyone feel like, you know what, that's me right there. And so we're in almost over 300 stores.
Congrats.
And it's growing every day. But I think that my favorite part is seeing people who I wouldn't assume, they might not even know who Coco and I are, but they know the product.
Right.
And that's what we always wanted, is like, if we're not cool anymore, the product is still cool.
Right.
And that was the goal. Because before we were only able to sell the product if we were right there.
Right.
We didn't make product that someone else could sell without us being there. And now we're at that point where we can have other people selling our product. And it's funny and cool because people that follow Coco and Breezy on social media, on the internet, on more like mainstream pop culture, that's a consumer that we have. But then we have a whole nother customer that just sees this product sitting next to other product in optical eye doctor eye care stores, and they're like, this looks nice, let me just buy this. And then they might look at the brand, they're like, okay, let me tag whoever Coco and Breezy are and wear the glasses. Then they're probably like, oh cool, it's young Afro-Latina women that are super edgy, like okay, I feel hip that I'm wearing this brand now. It's when I tell you, I've never seen so many beautiful 60-year-old women wearing our glasses in my life, and they are showing their style, and they love it. They love it so much.
And the thread through all of it is like, and when they do find out who you guys are, the thread is, I find that everybody wants that energy again. Like whether they're older and they're looking down, like damn, like that level of just that like spunk, that confidence, that ability to just live a full life. People want that and aspire for that. And then I find people your age are feeling the same way too, because they're usually caught in the minutia of what day-to-day life looks like, right?
Actually, an older woman DM'd us, and she said our eyewear made her feel young again. That made me want to cry. I was like, wow.
Wow.
What do you want your guys' legacy to be?
That's a good question. Man, that's so hard to answer because I stand for so many things. I think that I truly, I feel like if I were to leave this earth, or when I leave this earth, I think that I just want people, I hope to create a path for people that, especially with like people of color or like queer people, that I hope we create opportunities for them, and we kind of open the mindsets of people that are super small-minded to understand that we all can do it, but we also, it's important for people who are in leadership to show the true story, especially with social media. It's so easy to act like you're living this fabulous life, which we may be living a fabulous life, but I want to show how we got there. And I want people to have that blueprint. Like, I don't want to be stingy. Even with us having an eyewear company, our goal as well is to, like, whenever we have people that want to get into eyewear, they reach out to us all the time. And if we feel like they're motivated and they truly want to do this, we have no problem giving them some mentorship and giving them a little boost of, like, oh, well, here's our factory, or like, we don't give them all the meats and the potatoes, but we don't mind. We're not stingy. We'll say, hey, come to our office. Here's some, like, cool books to get inspired by. Here's some acetates. Here's some materials.
This is the process, because no one ever told us the full process.
Right.
We had to figure it out, you know. And our other co-founder, he has an architecture background, so that's how we kind of really learned, like, the three-dimensional, like, visual of designing the product. But in the beginning, we had no idea how a pair of glasses were made, and no one in the eyewear industry told us at all.
And you know what, Corinne, you really get this, our legacy. It's hard.
You just killed it.
Oh, okay. It's so hard.
It doesn't need to be a whole book. We're saving the book and the chapters and all that for later.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how you're incorporating that, with, like, the youth, like, how you're contributing in that community.
Yeah, well, we're actually in a kids' TV show called Wonderama.
Well, there that goes.
Yeah. And we speak at a lot of schools.
But talking about Wonderama, though, Wonderama is really cool. It's in New York. It plays on Channel 11 and Fox. And it's so fun because it's a kids' variety show, and the show used to be out, I think, in the 60s and 70s, and then they brought it back, and now the main host is David Osmond. He's so lovely. He's one of the nephews of part of the Osmond, the classic Osmond family. And then you have Coco and Breezy, you know, and that's what makes it so amazing, because sometimes when we get out, Breezy and I are the co-hosts and DJs, but David's doing most of the talking. A lot of the stuff that we do is we film before and they plug it in, but we're sitting there, we're on set the whole time, and we're being shown the whole time, and there's a lot of kids in the audience, and it's so cute because these little girls that remind me of us when we were their age, they get to see women like us, you know, and so it's cute because the little girls would be like, oh, they'll come up to us and be like, can I just give you a hug? Thank you so much for being here. I'm like, I didn't even say anything today. And they're like, well, you guys are just amazing. You know, it's because they get to see, we get to show our tattoos. We keep our piercings in. We wear eyeshadow.
Our hair natural.
We wear our hair natural. Yeah. So we get to, like, be a visual and educational, like, impact on these young girls who remind us of us when we were their age. And I think that's so important for them to see women like us.
No, absolutely.
Especially on TV, like, to be able to see, like, to be a little black girl and be like, you know what, I look like her. And they're, like, talking about flex. I think that even with us going to schools, like, we go to a lot of, like, underprivileged schools in, like, Brownsville or in New Jersey. And you could be an older person that's not of color speaking to these kids, but these kids aren't going to relate to that. We think that it's so important for us to go to these schools because we grew up like them. We didn't come from a lot, and we aren't too far in age.
Right.
And if we can share our story, they're gonna feel like they can relate to us. It's not gonna feel like someone's trying to, like, be there to say, like, oh my gosh, I helped these little black kids in New Jersey. Because I've seen people do that. They'll do it for the gram, and we truly just want to guide our youth. It's so important to us that we take those steps and give them advice and be there for them. Absolutely. And we have so many stories. We even slept on the street with these kids that there's these awesome kids that we met in Union Square in, like, 2000.
This is during the it was the protest,
the Wall
Street
Occupy.
Okay.
So we met these kids on 14th Street in, like, 2011 or something, and they're like, oh, I know who you guys are. I was like, oh, cool. We took pictures, and I was like, where do you live? They're like, we live here. And I was like, okay, fancy, like, 14th Street. And they're like, no, we're homeless. And I was just like, whoa, that, like, threw me. I don't know. I was so thrown off. And I wanted to truly understand their lives. And so Coco and I were like, well, tomorrow we're going to meet up with you guys and, like, live a whole day with you guys because we want to understand this and be there for you guys to see how we can be guidance. And so we went home. We, like, didn't bring any money with us because we wanted to live with them, like how they were living. And we just, like, dressed in, like, jeans and T-shirt. And None of them had cell phones. We met them at the meeting spot. It was raining. We waited for like 2 hours. And we literally spent the whole day and slept outside with them. We didn't do it for the gram. We didn't post it. There's no article on it. We truly did it for ourselves. And we felt,
and for them.
And for them. And we truly felt like that day, like we see them sometimes out and about and they're like, thank you guys so much. Because we got to be there for them. Like sometimes people just want to be heard.
Absolutely. That makes me want to cry, that story. Like, it's good, but I'm like, oh my God, that's so like emotional that you like took the time to do that. Because like your impressions on them, like your presence, and it's from a place of positivity. So even like with you being on television, like for kids to be at home and see that type of representation in a positive manner, you know, other than seeing, you know, and sometimes, you know, of course, different versions of Black culture, Afro-Latino culture needs to be heard, where the stories of like in the hood or slavery, those stories need to be told. But it's also great to put in front of them a visual of us doing great things, of us being bosses, of us helping communities, of us helping ourselves and talking about taking care of ourselves. Those type of things are so important. And the fact that you guys are doing that even off the camera, like, no, like it's essentially important to you guys. That's just incredible to me.
Yeah, and you see the level of community like care you guys have. You guys had and I think you do this fairly often, but you had just like a community gathering at your offices. Like it was, I think, like maybe a couple months ago.
Yeah,
and it was just dope creators, you know, just sipping and talking about stuff. And the computer screens had the different images, you know, of this collection on them, so you could actually kind of check out what was going on.
Yeah,
but you know, I genuinely love that kind of stuff because. I met folks from that event that I'm connected with and cool with now that I didn't know before that, you know, and you meet them in a very raw space. Nobody's really talking about what they do, which I always personally enjoy.
Me too.
Everyone was just talking about like stuff that mattered to them, and then afterward you connect with them. You're like, oh shit, you doing stuff. Right. Like, I see you. Like respect. So we love it. That's what this show is really all about. But I think this has been awesome. We don't even have the person queuing us no more.
I don't, and I do have a good question actually too. So I'm glad they're not over there signaling us to stop. But you guys have really done an excellent job. Aside from like helping the community and like growing your businesses and then evolving there, like how would you describe your evolution as women?
Oh, that's such a great question.
Well, I think that we've evolved so much as women, especially as twins.
Yeah.
And we've really grown into our own individualities, because when we were younger, we were very much like, I need to be like Breezy, I need to be like Breezy needs to be like Coco. And once we sit really for the like 2009 to 2010ish, we would share a laptop, we shared a cell phone, like
we were connected
to the hip, and that was slowing us down a lot, you know. And once I figured out what are my strengths, what are Breezy's strengths, we really just understood, and we've grown so much as women. And I think that now I'm really growing into my womanhood, and I love it. I love it so much. Like, it's amazing. I take time for myself. I love self-care. I love to wake up and meditate. I like to cook. I like to do my little face mask, you know, and I think that's so important. Like, you can work so hard, right? But when do we take time out for ourselves? So I think that that's what I'm growing on, because I used to just work and not take any time for myself. And, you know, what about you, Bree?
Even for me, this sounds silly, but even the other day I had a cold, and back in the day I used to be such a workaholic. I would be like, team no sleep, like I'm out here still going to the office. But I realized whenever I have a cold now, I'm like, you know what? I'd rather take a day off, and I'll take a day off, bounce back, because I do my natural remedies, because all the other stuff makes you more sick. And then I'll bounce back, and like I bounce back, you guys, in like a day if I just take a day off, rather than being sick in the office
for 4 days,
for like 4 days to a week, because I'm over here pushing my body to do something that it's not supposed to be doing.
Right, I hear you.
I think like really listening to our bodies and to ourselves has helped us grow into womanhood. And even with me, like I'm queer, I'm a Black woman. Coco, she like supports me 100%, and it's important for me to show other queer women in these spaces that like we could be leaders too. So I think that a lot of families, they don't accept their queer kids, and they don't realize that they can become leaders as well. And so I think it's important for me to show that.
I agree. That's dope. It's funny you said that about like the sick thing, because I typically would do that, but I've gotten into like a lot of yoga. I'm getting my certification and everything now.
Cool.
Thank you. And the other day I was like sick, and I usually like kind of come in the office and like push it because I'm like, we got work to do, like got to get this stuff done. And I just texted her. I was like, you know what? I can't make it in today. Like I felt horrible. He heard me on the phone. I ended up still making a couple calls for work, but I was like, physically, I can't do it. Like I'm gonna be worse. It's gonna take me so much longer to be better if I just stay in this environment and like heal myself. And he totally understood. He was like, no doubt, like feel better because you sound like crap. So like, you know, stay home and take care of yourself. And it's like recognizing that too is so important. And then not just recognize, but taking action on it, being like, listen, don't think of it as like a sacrifice for work. Think of it as like you're helping yourself. It's just
like you are your body. And also what happens when, like back in the day when we were workaholics, we'll all go to the office and it's like, I'm sick. And then after I pass it on to Coco.
Oh, right, yeah.
Coco passes it to Dwayne, and Dwayne passes it to the next person. Then it's like the whole squad is sick.
Yeah, and they families get sick.
Yeah.
It's umbrella of sickness. Nah, I definitely hear that. Yeah. And I, at the end of it, it's like, I think for myself, I've always thought in terms of that, I don't think I've ever, and maybe people could point it out if I haven't, but I don't think I've ever thought of myself as a workaholic. Like I think I work a lot, but I think I think in terms of I always have balance, and I think that comes from, I don't know why, but when I was like in, whether it was high school or like college, I always felt like if I'm physically gonna be here tomorrow, like I'm not going to, God forbid, just not be here. Then like the work can like it can be here too.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That nothing's gonna. This is not affecting anything too deeply, and so that's how I think. Even when you miss that email or you miss that call, and you're like, oh, I was supposed to be there. I get past it because I'm like, all right, there's space to bounce back from that. You know?
Always.
Like, so.
Absolutely. The work will be there.
Yeah. But this has been super dope, y'all. I'm happy you guys, able to join us today. Everybody, tell everybody at home how they can connect with you. What's next for you guys?
So you can connect with us on any social media platform. Everything is just Coco and Breezy. Our website, cocoandbreezy.com. And it's COCOANDBREEZY.com. Follow us on every platform. What's next for us is that we're launching a new optical collection, which I'm excited about. We just implemented where you can actually get your prescriptions now via online.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited about that. And then as far as music, we have a new music video launching for our first single. And it's so cute. Everybody's wearing our glasses too. So you get a Coco and Breezy commercial and you get a Coco and Breezy production and a visual, just all in one.
You get the culture. You get the
Always.
That's what's up.
Love it. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, awesome, guys. Thanks so much again for joining us.
Thank you.
The WYL Take Ownership podcast, where you can connect with your mental, your economics, and take ownership of your communities. Thank you, ladies, for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Rock on.